just so they get the gist of it. I'm on?
Yeah.
Hey, so what we have is we've got these styrofoam panels for sale now as well. Basically, if you look at our other ads, we've got the plywood as well. So if you really want cheap, high-grade plywood, smaller pieces of it that you're using for any projects and whatnot, look at our other ads. But now what we're doing is we're carrying these panels. So this is an example. They'll vary in thickness. This is a thinner panel, but you'll get a uniform lift that goes down through. So we'll use this one as an example. It's a triangle piece that when you put them together into a square or a rectangle, they'll make a 4x4 or a 4x8, and you'll go from there. So if you want to buy some of our thin 1/8" birch plywood, you could always glue them to that, and then you'd have make yourself up a panel. You can glue these together or just use them as is. I'm using them just as is to insulate outbuildings and whatnot. So the only thing about this panel is it actually tapers. So to go from 2 inches here down to 1 inch here, or on these ones over here, you'll see a slightly thicker panel. A lot of some different finishes too. But basically you're a little bit thicker here than you are here. So when you put them together, they'll be uniform throughout, right? You'll have the thinner edge there, and it'll just tip out at slightly thicker. So if you're cutting them between the studs, like 2-foot studs, right, then basically as long as you're inside the stud and you want to use some spray foam afterwards, which is what I do, then you just put them in and spray foam them in, and then you just sheet over them, or just call that your finish, right? Then basically something this size and this thickness would be $1.50. And then something a little thinner like this that is less than 1.5 inches on this edge is $1. So anything over 1.5 inches or 1.5 inches and over is $1.50, and these are $1. So something like that, this full area right here, this would cost you $4. So with all the other panels that you can buy on the market, $4 versus I think it's like 12 or 14 or something like that. This is the more economical way to go. There is some other size pieces, but they're rare. So here's some I think this is 2x4 pieces here, right? So these 2x4 pieces, you won't see very many of those. The biggest thing that you'll see in volume is these triangular pieces that make up this deal here. So when you take and make this 4x8 area, everything will be uniform on the low end, right? On the narrow side, except for this one little spot in the middle here, it'll just come up to like usually a little bit more. So if you make that and then rip it down to 2 foot, or just make that your panel, then you just screw it to a wall or something like that, then it'll work for you, as long as you don't need it perfectly flush, right? So $50 minimum, same as the plywood. Come on down and talk to Justin. You see the number on the ad, and yep, come on down. Thanks.